There are bonds that exist beyond rational understanding, ones that refuse to be explained through conventional reasoning. Regardless of how much physical space one might attempt to establish, something remains. An unseen energy, quiet yet persistent, continuously calls for reconnection. This isn't about fixation or emotional weakness, but rather a profound sensation that refuses to fade as days pass. When someone's essence continues to occupy the quiet moments, the spaces where your thoughts wander freely, it carries significance. Certain relationships don't emerge from random chance, but originate from a deeper plane of awareness, where meaning exists before understanding arrives. You might try moving forward, following well-intentioned guidance, applying rational thought processes. Your mind may become convinced that releasing is the appropriate path. Yet, when a fundamental part of your being cannot find peace with that surrender, something lingers unresolved. Each attempt at incomplete closure reveals itself in delicate ways, through unexpected memories, through dreams so vivid they feel tangible, through melodies that arrive at precisely the right instant. This transcends ordinary longing. It's a vibration, as though your entire being remembers something your conscious mind attempts to erase. And this internal conflict isn't seeking to hold someone captive. It's searching for understanding and purpose. Here, a crucial distinction emerges to settle the analytical mind. Not every relationship carries the same weight. Some arise from desire, others from the fear of being alone, still others from attachment. Those typically diminish over time, but certain bonds feel different from their very beginning, charged with electricity, profound, and they don't offer immediate comfort. They create disorder, force confrontation, awaken fears that have been sleeping. If this connection speaks to you, write resonance in the comments. From this vantage point, what came before stops competing with what exists now. Everything finds its proper position. There's no comparison happening, no idealization taking place. The present moment becomes adequate, and that adequacy transforms how you relate to everything: individuals, endeavors, choices. You no longer operate from the urgency to recreate something familiar. You allow yourself to experience what's new without betraying what you've learned. Jung referred to this as internal coherence. When thoughts, emotions, and actions begin aligning without strain, someone might ask if you've moved past it entirely, and perhaps you won't know how to answer because it's not about moving past, it's about integration. Moving past suggests denial. Integration suggests inclusion. You incorporate the experience into your identity without allowing it to define you completely. And this becomes apparent in your voice, in your composure, in how you decline things. There's a peaceful firmness that doesn't require lengthy explanations. Life begins feeling more straightforward, not more shallow, more transparent. Here emerges a fresh confidence in yourself, not prideful, but grounded. You trust your capacity to navigate whatever arrives without losing yourself. You no longer fear feeling deeply, because you understand you can contain it. Jung maintained that the fear of feeling originates from the absence of prior integration. When you integrate, fear diminishes. It doesn't vanish entirely, but it stops paralyzing you. It transforms into a signal, not a barrier. Perhaps now you look backward and recognize how much you've changed, not suddenly, but incrementally. Every moment of uncertainty was a stage, every doubt, a layer that settled into place, and although nobody witnessed it, you know what you traversed. That internal awareness generates self-respect. You no longer demand to be who you were previously. You permit yourself to be who you are currently. That's also emotional maturity. From this position, self-love stops being a concept. It becomes behavior. It's visible in what you select, in what you refuse, in how you address yourself when you stumble. Jung held that the relationship with oneself serves as the template for all others. When that relationship finds order, the external responds differently, not through mysticism, but through energetic and psychological coherence. The memory might return at some point, but it no longer shakes you. It arrives as a neutral image, almost grateful. This indicates genuine closure, not forced, not intellectual, closure that's been lived. And this kind of closure doesn't require ceremonies or declarations. It sustains itself because it emerges from deep comprehension, not from avoidance. Here, intuition becomes even sharper. It no longer shouts, it guides. You understand when to advance and when to wait, when to speak and when to withdraw. This precision doesn't come from theory, It comes from integrated experience. And Jung viewed mature intuition as a silent intelligence that surfaces when the unconscious stops sabotaging. And when that happens, life feels less chaotic. Perhaps this journey made you more selective, and that's appropriate. Not everything deserves your energy, your time, your openness. Choosing isn't closing your heart, it's protecting it. And when you protect what you feel, what arrives tends to be more congruent. Not flawless, but authentic. That reality, though less idealized, is experienced with greater peace. Thus, the connection fulfills its highest purpose. Not to unite destinies, to unite consciousness. It carried you to a point where you no longer need to lose yourself to feel, where you can love without disappearing, where you can remember without staying behind. As Jung taught, the true encounter happens when the individual encounters themselves. And from there, every bond stops being a risk and becomes a choice. When you choose from awareness, something shifts in your internal posture. You no longer shrink yourself to fit in, nor expand yourself to impress. You remain. That remaining feels stable, dignified. The world may continue being uncertain, but you're no longer uncertain to yourself. Jung said that psychological stability doesn't depend on everything going well, but on knowing who you are even when things don't go as expected. And from there, any bond that arrives meets you whole, not fragmented. You might now observe people differently, with less projection, more reality. You no longer place unconscious expectations on the other person, hoping they'll heal what belongs to you. This liberates, because love stops being an emotional transaction and becomes shared presence. Jung warned that when we project excessively, we stop seeing the other. Integrating this connection returned your clear vision, and seeing with clarity is a profound form of respect. Here, your relationship with time also changes. There's no rush, there's rhythm. You comprehend that each process has its maturation, and that forcing only generates exhaustion. This patience isn't passivity, it's internal confidence. Confidence that you know how to traverse whatever comes. Jung saw psychological time as distinct from chronological time. Some understandings require silence, repetition, and pause. And when they arrive complete. Perhaps before you confused intensity with truth. Today you know how to distinguish them. Truth feels expansive, not anxious. Intensity can overflow, but doesn't always sustain. This difference saves you future suffering. You no longer chase fires that consume rapidly. You prefer the flame that remains. And that choice, though less noisy, constructs something more solid, something that doesn't depend on drama to feel alive. At this point, the memory is no longer refuge nor threat. It's integrated memory. You can return to it without losing the present. That's emotional freedom. Jung insisted that freedom isn't the absence of past, but conscious relationship with it. When you achieve this, the past stops pushing you from behind. It becomes foundation, and walking with firm foundation completely changes your way of being in the world. Perhaps now you comprehend that none of this was a mistake. Not the encounter, not the pain, not the confusion. Everything fulfilled a precise function in your development, although you didn't know it then. This understanding doesn't romanticize what was lived, it orders it. And when something finds order, it stops hurting. Jung called this internal reconciliation. When experience finds its meaning and settles, from here, the future doesn't frighten the same way. Not because it's clear, but because you're clearer. You know what you don't want to repeat, what you can sustain, what you deserve to protect. That clarity isn't negotiated, it's honored. And by honoring it, you attract scenarios more coherent with who you are now, not with who you were before integrating. If this journey resonated with you, it wasn't coincidence. Ideas arrive when the psyche is ready to receive them. That simple gesture allows this space to continue accompanying real, deep, human processes. Sometimes a shared reflection arrives precisely when someone needs it to organize something within. Carl Jung maintained that the greatest human privilege is becoming oneself, not copying models, not living halfway, not betraying yourself to belong. This connection that marked you so deeply was part of that path, not to define your external destiny, but to activate your internal destiny. And when that occurs, life stops pushing you from the shadow and begins dialoguing with you from consciousness. Today, you can close this chapter without denying it, without running, without clinging, with the certainty that what was lived made you more whole, more awake, more faithful to yourself. That's the true gain. To honor your process, Write gratitude in the comments.